بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. In the content of Manasik al-Hajj, remember there's a content of Manasik al-Hajj and there is this annex or appendix in which the Q&As are, which clarifies further the content of Manasik al-Hajj. So we are back to the content of Manasik al-Hajj, and we are going to now finally, after this long time, we are going to exit the state of Ihram, not of Hajj, of Umrah, be it Umrah Mufrada or be it Umrah al-Tamattu. Either the Umrah is Umrah of Hajj or the Umrah is Umrah of individual Umrah, separate Umrah from the Hajj, the one which you do any time in the year. So, and that is exiting the state of Ihram through TAQSEER, clipping off some hair, in general hair or nail, or hair of beard or hair of the head, or clipping off nail. So anything which is prohibited in the state of Ihram, it is permissible once you are done with the rituals of Ihram. So like many times people, they ask that, how can that be that something which is prohibited, how can I do it in the Ihram? But this is the thing, that when you enter Ihram, during the state of Ihram, you cannot clip your nail, you cannot clip your hair, you cannot cut your hair, you cannot shave your head. So the example we can take is like Salat. When you say Allahu Akbar, you enter the state of Ihram in Salat, Takbiratul Ihram, isolation from anything which invalidates the Salat. Once you are done with the Salat, Tashahhud, you do something which is one of the invalidators of Salat. And that is talking to the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you say Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, you're talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With inside the Salat, it's prohibited. Inside the Salat, you cannot say intentionally, deliberately, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Neither you can say Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillah salihin. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi. You cannot say in the middle of the Salat anywhere because it's a salam. So this is a communication with the creation of Allah, and Salat is a total disconnection from the creation of Allah and only communication one-to-one with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now, but once you are done, you need to get out of the Salat. So you establish a communication with the creation of Allah. It's mustahab to start with communicating with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So while you are descending, all the Salat, Mi'raj al-Mu'min, Salat is the ascension of a believer. So while you are descending on the earth, okay, you are going to say salam. The first salam is to our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But did you get out of the Salat? No, you have to say the salam wajib, which is, in general, fuqaha, they say Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillah salihin, or Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So one of them takes you out of the Salat. One of them is wajib. However, say the SISTANI damadillah says there's a precautionary measure to do both. So the concept is that you are doing something which is an invalidator of Salat to get out of the Salat. The same thing here. You said labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. You enter the state of Ihram. To get out of the Ihram, after you are done the manasik, the rituals, okay, the obligations of Umrah or obligations of Hajj, you come and do something which is one of the prohibitions of Ihram. So that is why if someone has not exited the state of ihram, they cannot do clipping of your hair. Like let's say you're a lovebird and you have your beloved wife and your beloved husband and those lovebirds. So, they want to be romantic. I will do taqseer to you, you do taqseer to me. Okay? And the guy puts his hand from under her hijab because in public, and you can do, by the way, at your hotel also. But people, they want to do it on Marwa. So he puts his hand underneath her hijab or something like that, and ready, and she holds his hair ready, and but you are still in the state of ihram. How can you cut other people's hair? You can't, not your hair, not others. So once you get, if you want to be romantic, one of you has to get out of the ihram by themselves, okay, or by someone who has already exited the state of ihram. So that person clips his hair, and then he puts his hand under the hijab of his wife, and I'm exiting the state of ihram of Umrah Mufrada or Umrah al-Tamattu or Hajj al-Tamattu for those upon whom the taqseer is permissible. Now you cannot say, I'm not going to go Hajj because I don't want to shave. Baba, that is akhirat. Consider Islam going from this world. So some people, they have this nice fashiony, like some of you, hair, beautiful hair and this and that. So they just don't want to give up. It's going to grow in like 1 month, okay? And if you are a hairy-berry guy, in 2 weeks, you will get your hair back. So therefore, exiting the state of ihram is done by taqseer. In Umrah al-Tamattu, you cannot shave. And in Umrah al-Mufrada, you can do taqseer or shaving of your head. This is for the men, okay? In Hajj al-Tamattu, the first timers, many ulamas, they say, fuqaha, they say it is wajib to do shaving for men. Some say ihtiyat wajib for the first timer. Some say it is highly recommended and it's abhorred not to shave. But if you are a second timer, majority of the fuqaha say you can do taqseer. So this is for men. Again, in Umrah al-Mufra, in Umrah al-Tamattu, only taqseer for men. No shaving. Keep the shaving for the Hajj. Number two, I mean, you will see some Sunni school of thought, there is shave after Umrah, but that is their fiqh, our school of thought, fatwa is not like that. Our fatwa, the school of thought, is that we have to have the taqseer only. We have to leave the hair, no shaving in Umratil Tamattu, the part of Hajj, because in Hajj you'll be doing the shaving. Number two, Umrah al-Mufrada, taqseer, shaving of the head, either this or that, doesn't have any problem. Hajj al-Tamattu, first timer, shaving, second timer, taqseer is sufficient. And we can do shaving and taqseer, same like Umrah al-Mufrada. But first timer, as I said, some say wajib, some say obligatory precaution, some say you check your marja. And if you are from those, the beauty and the beast people where they have this amazing hairstyle and this and that, and they don't want to give up. If you are following a marja who is telling you that you don't have to shave your head in Hajj, you are lucky. But anyhow, I think even if you're following that marja, which allows you to keep your nose shaving, allows you to like you don't have to do shaving, it's better. Just get your filth of the past life away from your body. Get rid of that. It has some psychological positive impact, the shaving. The first thing you feel, nothing is on your head. So, okay. The second is the injuries that might encounter by using the blade. So we will see that do we have to use blade? That will come in the section of Hajj shaving. So here in Umrah section, shaving has not been given that much of importance because we are now in Umrah. Umrah التمتع only taqseer. Umrah mufrada taqseer um, or shaving. So let's see this ruling. And as you can see, we have reached the ruling number 350, and the most of the total rulings are 450. So Alhamdulillah, we have cut three over four, like 3/4 of the rulings. So inshallah, we'll be done soon. So finally, we get out of the ihram of Umrah al-Mufrada or Umrah al-Tamattu after a long wait. So congratulations. No, not now, after the taqseer. So he says, Hafidhullah, taqseer is the fifth wajib of Umrah al-Tamattu. Okay? And obviously for Umrah al-Mufrada as well. So what is required in it? To do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't intend like that, if you just want to show your baldness, say, I'm a Hajj, I'm Hajji now, I'm Hajji. Okay, just to show the people, so that you did not do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sincerity. So what achieving the nearness of Allah, not the people. Sincerity, okay, only for the sake of Allah and with submission, total submission to the will of Allah, not like, oh no, I don't want to remove my hair. Regardless of taqseer or taqseer or halq, taqseer or shaving, regardless of clipping the hair or shaving the head. That achieving the nearness of Allah is required, the intention that I'm doing this to have a good relation closer to Allah. Why? So qurba is to achieve the nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then khulus is sincerity, not to show off and not to brag about it in front of the people. And then how does it happen, the taqseer? So taqseer happens by clipping the hair of the head, beard, or mustache. So I remember one of the brothers, I went with him to Umrah. So he had shaved his beard and said, now what will he do? And his head was shaved also. Nowadays, shaving the head is model. So he has that very mild mustache. So he said, we can clip off a little bit of my mustache. So I clipped and accidentally I got a good chunk out of it. So he said, oh my goodness, what will I do now? It looks like empty here. So then he went and he clipped here as well. So it became like that kind of mustache, the H mustache. I don't want to say that word. So anyhow, so yeah, but say the Sistani Damadillo has a problem with beard and mustache kind of thing, you see. So yeah, so basically this is in general, head, beard, and mustache. What about if I bring a plucker and I pluck out the hair? I'm doing that taqseer to exit the state of ihram. Ouch, kind of thingy. Ouch, or ouch, plucking the hair. No, it is not sufficient. It should be clipped. ولا يكفي فيه النتف بدلا عن القص على الأظهر. Most apparently, plucking is not sufficient. That means you cannot pluck as a replacement or a substitute for clipping. على الأظهر, most apparently. What does that mean? That means some scholars, they said apparently taking off hair can be done by plucking. But say the sister says no. The evidences, it's more apparent from the evidences that it needs to be qas, that means cut, clip. Now here comes the thing. والمشهور, the popular opinion of the fuqaha, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them, to take some of the nail of the hand or nail of the foot also. So hair and nail. He says on the basis of obligatory precaution. Uh, so 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 you have an option in general. Hair, clip your hair, of head, beard, mustache, or clipping of the nails. Either, I mean, when we say nail, one nail is enough. Nail of a foot or nail of hand. However, on the basis of obligatory precaution, one should not suffice with clipping of the nail. And to delay, let's say you don't have hair here, mustache, no beard, and you're like a Mohican kind of, no head, no hair on the head. So he said, delay your taqseer until your hair grows, so you can get some of your hair. So if the hair grows like a little bit, like, yeah, that's fine. As long as you can run the scissor, size is not important. Clipping of the hair. So I don't know, I have the situation, yeah. See, there's very tiny hair growth because I like balding, like shaving of the head. So here, yani, you have like like maybe 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters, which can be clipped by the small scissors. So in case if you have a very tiny hair grows, buy a scissor, which is a fine scissor. It clips this hair. That's fine, as long as you don't do it to the root. Or those clippers, you know that clippers, not shavers. There is electric shavers, there is or battery operated, and there is this clipper. So like, for example, luckily I have something in my hand. This is shaver, but you can't run this on that tiny hair because it will shave you. So if you are choosing shave, you have to do the whole thing. You can't shave just an area and say, this is taqseer. No. So, but if you have that clipper, and when you clip, put it on a number where it leaves some hair, because that's the difference between shave and taqseer. Taqseer is when you clip by the scissor, you can still feel that the roots of the hair is there. But if you are like going to do with that clipper, like maybe the clipper is like takes the whole thing away flat, then that is shaving. So regardless of clipper or regardless of shaver, you need to, when you, or the scissor, when you clip, you feel that there's this, you can feel the roughness of the skin because the tiny pieces of hair are there. So you are taking maybe 1 millimeter of the hair if you have 2 millimeters, for example. So there is something here, because this year an issue happened. A guy did not have anything on the head, and luckily, alhamdulillah, some of oil went to the Umrah. After 2 3 days, he got some kind of 1 or 2 millimeters or 2 millimeters, something which you can clip and still you feel that there's something there. So this is very important to know that the taqseer is not shaving. So yeah. So he says, wait, if you don't have hair, wait until it grows. Okay. So on the basis of obligatory precaution, one should not suffice with the clipping of the nail, and one should delay on the basis of obligatory precaution until he is able to clip some of the hair. Let's see. Ruling number 350. Okay. So remember, in Umrah al-Tamattu, you have to do taqsir, no shaving. Umrah al-Mufrada, shaving. And if you shave the whole thing. Okay, the whole head. And when we say shave, shaving of the head, not shaving of the beard. So I need to be very precise. That when I said shaving is an option, not shaving of the beard, not shaving of the mustache, you like look like a babu cut or something like that. No, shaving of the head. So again, taqseer is clipping off the nail or nail of the foot or nail of the hand or clipping off a little bit of the beard or a little bit of the mustache or a little bit of the head. That is taqseer, the meaning of taqseer. Shaving is entire head only. Okay, not entire. If I say, let me just make a babu cut or something like that and remove just the mustache, because eh, no, there's you are still in the state of here the whole thing. So neither beard and on the base of obligatory precaution is prohibited to remove the beard. Okay, perfect. So it to exit the ihram of Umrat al-Tamattu', one must perform the clipping, taqseer. And obviously for Sayyidi Sistani, clipping of the hair, because he says do not suffice. That means if you clip the nail, you have not exited the ihram on the basis of obligatory precaution until you refer to another marja alam in line, then only. So that's why uh, clipping of the nail is not sufficient for Sayyidi Sistani. So taqseer, uh, to exit the state of ihram of Umrat al-Tamattu', one must perform taqseer. And shaving of the head would not be sufficient. Shaving of the head would not be sufficient. Rather, it would be prohibited to shave off the head. And if he shaves his head in Umrat al-Tamattu' we are talking, then he should pay a penalty of sheep. If he had done it knowingly and deliberately. He knows he shouldn't be, yet he deliberately did it. So this is knowingly. He says, rather on the basis of obligatory precaution in any case, regardless, like even if unknowingly, out of forgetfulness. So we have knowingly, deliberately. Another case is uh, unknowingly or knowingly, however, forgotten. So these are the two cases. Or he was compelled to. That's the third case. So not on the, not on the obligatory precaution. No. So fatwa is that if somebody shaved his head, it's prohibited in Umrat al-Tamattu', the one which is associated with the Hajj. Intentional deliberately. However, he says it's recommended precaution even in unintentional cases. One gives the penalty of sheep because al-ahwat al-awla is recommended precaution. So yeah, so rather based on the recommended precaution, one gives the penalty in any case of unintentional cases. Question ruling number 351. If somebody has intercourse after the Safa and Marwa and before the taqseer, clipping of the hair, where does the sa'i walk between Safa and Marwa finishes? Marwa. And you have not done taqseer. So people, when they listen to this ruling, they picture what? The guy is going to have his relationship with his wife on Marwa in front of public. What is this nonsense? This and no, Baba, because nonsense which you did not understand the ruling, the sequence. Okay, the sequence is there, but is it must to do the taqseer immediately on Marwa? No. Anywhere you can do. So the guy comes to the hotel. He has been waiting since the time of miqat. away from his wife. He did the sa'i of Umrat al-Tamattu, okay, away from his wife. Now they decided, okay, let's go to the hotel and then clip off our hair to exit the state of Ihram. And they came to the hotel and they forgot that they need to do taqseer, and whoopsie daisy, things happened. So they did the private relation. So now what will happen? It is where? It is after the Safa and Marwa and before exiting the state of Ihram. They are still in the state of Ihram. So what will we tell them? So if that person did it knowingly, deliberately, then he has to pay a penalty of camel. Oh my goodness. That's twice or thrice the cost of his whole Hajj. If his Hajj is $10,000 or euros, then the camel is 10 to 15 to 30,000. It depends on what type of camel you slaughter. So these are expensive animals. So you have to, so that's why I say stay away from the camels and cows. Okay. So after the sa'i, he's still in the state of Ihram, and they come home and they fall romantic. They say, okay, let's do the taqseer later on. Okay. We don't have any scissor now. We don't have a nail clipper. So, and then they said, we are tired now. We will go later on. And whoopsie daisy happened. So, camel, knowingly, deliberately, the wife tells him, but we are not yet out yet. That's fine, inshallah. What's it? Taqseer. What bad could happen? Let's reunite. We did the size of our Marwa, finish. It's just like clipping off one hair or a little bit hair. No, that is if deliberately intention. However, if that person forgot or she forgot, then or he was unaware about this situation. He doesn't know that it is still prohibited. They did not know that it's still prohibited. They need to clip off their hair. So وَإِنْ كَانَ جَاهِلًا, if he was unaware, فَلَا شَيْءَ عَلَيْهِ عَلَى الْأَذَى, there is nothing upon him. Most apparently, what does that mean? That means some scholars, they said it is apparent from the narration that even out of unawareness, they need to pay penalty. He says most apparent to me is that no need to pay penalty if the guy was unaware that he is not supposed to do that. Okay, so Sayyidina, where should we do taqseer? Ruling number 352. The place of taqseer is, okay, the sequence of taqseer is after the sa'i between Safa and Marwa, after the walk between Safa and Marwa. Therefore, one should not perform the taqseer before completing the sa'i. You see, you can't do the taqseer. Let's say this lovebird couple comes to the hotel, because they say we did tawaf and salat al-tawaf. In the evening, we can remember until next day Fajr, they have the time. So let's go like after midnight, spirituality, this and that, and we are tired from the travel and the tawaf and salat al-tawaf. Let's go home. And the guy becomes in mood. You know something? Let's do it. Let's do the taqseer now. And after that, we'll do this. No, say Daisy, you have to first complete the sa'i. You cannot do taqseer before or in the middle of performing the sa'i. It needs to be at the end, after the sa'i. So the sequence of taqseer is after completing the sa'i, not before it, not in the middle of it, not during the tawaf, not after the tawaf. No. Tawaf, salat al-tawaf, sa'i between Safa and Marwa after the 7th round of near Safa and Marwa, when you're in Marwa, that's where you can do the taqseer or you can do later on. So that's why ruling number 353 says that it is not obligatory to perform the taqseer immediately after the sa'i. Therefore, he can perform the taqseer wherever he wants, okay, wherever he wants, regardless of being in the place of Safa and Marwa or at his home or any place. In the taxi, they're going to the hotel. You know something, I can't wait. I want to scratch my head. I want to this. I want to smell my perfume, whatever. I want to smell your perfume, for example, as he tells his wife. So, khalas, do it in the car. I mean, do taqseer in the car. Okay? So anywhere, he says. So I just gave you an example of, because it's Mas'a, place of Safa and Marwa, and or the hotel, or his house, or any other place. So that means you don't have to instantly perform the taqseer. It's not obligatory. So ruling number 354 says, if someone does not do the taqseer, okay, he did not clip off his hair intentionally. So this ruling, we have one is intentionally and one out of forgetfulness. So someone did not do the taqseer intentionally, and what happens? This Umrah al-Tamattu' we are talking, and entered the state of Ihram of Hajj al-Tamattu'. So apparently he says his Umrah of Tamattu' has been nullified. Why? Because he did not do the taqseer. Because with the taqseer, you exit. That means you have not exited the state of ihram and you entered another state of ihram, which is invalid. Okay? So, so he says, apparently, his umrah will become invalid, umrah al-tamattu, and he's in the state of ihram. So how can he do another ihram? First, we have to get out of this ihram and then get into another ihram, another state of ihram. So here, he's still in the first ihram. He did all this sa'i. So he says that his Umrah al-Tamattu' will become invalid and his Hajj will be converted to Hajj al-Ifrad, the Hajj without Umrah al-Tamattu'. So therefore, he goes to Arafat because he's still in the state of Ihram. He goes to Arafat and does his Manasik al-Hajj, Muzdalifah, Mina, pelting. Okay, after he completes the manasik of Hajj, shaving the head or clipping of the hair, whatever, he has to perform Umrah Mufrada because, you know, Umrah al-Tamattu' comes before Hajj, Hajj al-Tamattu'. Umrah al-Mufrada comes after the Hajj al-Ifrad, the Hajj which is not connected with the Umrah. He says, then he does the Umrah al-Mufrada if he was able to perform it. And it's recommended precaution to repeat the Hajj next year. Ruling number 355. If someone abandons the taqseer out of forgetfulness. So that was ruling number 355 was deliberate, intentional. This one is 354 was deliberate. He did not do taqseer. He did not perform the taqseer, clipping of the hair. In 355, he did not perform it out of forgetfulness. He forgot. So he entered the state of ihram of Hajj. What about his Umrah? He forgot. So his Umrah al-Tamattu' will be okay. And his another ihram of Hajj will be okay. So Umrah okay, unlike intentional. Umrah was invalid. Hajj al-Ifrad, Umrah Mufrada. No, here Umrah al-Tamattu will stay intact, and his ihram of Hajj will be okay. However, it's recommended precaution to pay the penalty of a sheep. So intentional, the Umrah is converted to ihram of Hajj, and not Hajj al-Tamattu, Hajj al-Ifrad. In forgetfulness, no, his Umrah is okay, safe, and his new Ihram, which a new state of Ihram, is also okay for Hajj. Ruling number 356. If someone, if a muhrim person in Umrah al-Tamattu uh, clips the hair, everything which was prohibited in the state of Ihram for him to do, see, I said to do. So therefore, anything which is prohibited to do, as long as it's not muharramat al-haram. That means there are things, even if you are not in the state of ihram, it's prohibited inside the haram, the sacred border of Makkah, like uprooting the grass or hunting in that area. So those remain as long as you are in Makkah. But we are talking about the all the other prohibited things. Even women, yes, even women. Even husbands, yes, even husband. But they have not done tawaf al-nisa. Umrat al-tamattu does not have tawaf al-nisa. The tawaf al-nisa is merged all together with one tawaf al-nisa at the end of the manasik of Hajj al-tamattu. So there is no tawaf al-nisa in Umrat al-tamattu. Tawaf al-nisa is in Umrah mufrada. After the sa'i, after the taqseer, there is tawaf al-nisa and salat tawaf al-nisa. And in Hajj al-tamattu or Hajj al-ifrad, when you perform your tawaf of Hajj, salat tawaf of Hajj, sa'i between Safa and Marwa, and tawaf of nisa, and 2 rakat salat tawaf al-nisa. So therefore, in Umrat al-tamattu, khalas, without tawaf al-nisa, all the entertainments, spousal entertainments, are permissible. So he says, if a person in the state of ihram performs the taqseer in Umrah al-Tamattu, everything that was prohibited upon him due to ihram, not due to inside the haram, no, due to the state of ihram, even shaving of the head, most apparently, because in the you cannot, it was prohibited to shave the head to exit the state of ihram of Umrah al-Tamattu, Umrah of Hajj. But after that, you can shave off the head. So then if you don't have any hair, then you can clip off your beard um, or mustache, or yeah. So this is the ruling 356. Everything becomes halal, which was haram due to the state of ihram. But something which doesn't have to do with the state of ihram, the muharramat, the prohibitions of the place of haram, those remain. Even, he says, even shaving of the head will become permissible, most apparently. So it seems that some maraja, they say, no shaving of the head, because you need to shave the head there in the Hajj. So keep the shaving until the Hajj. So say this is as most apparently, from understanding of it from the evidences, that shaving is prohibited for the state of ihram, and due to being in the state of ihram. So you are now out of the state of ihram. So most apparently, there's no problem in it. So this is the fatwa. However, he says, it's recommended precaution to let your hair grow starting وإن كان لحظة استحبابا تركه بعد مضي 30 يوما من عيد الفطر. So after the day of Eid al-Fitr, leave 30 days. After that, don't shave your head. So enjoy I mean, enjoy shaving the head after Eid or for the day of Eid or whatever, but leave shaving of the head after 30 days of the day of Eid al-Fitr. That means the first day, maybe most probably, or second day if the Shawwal was 29 days. So be it like first Dhul Qa'd or second, from first Dhul Qa'd or from second Dhul Qa'd, don't shave your head. Okay. So what if somebody does? I mean, it's recommended precaution. So if there's a penalty, it will be recommended precaution, and that's it. However, if he does shave the head intentionally, knowingly, that is recommended precaution to leave, then uh, it's recommended precaution to pay the penalty by shedding the blood of an animal. When it's a blood of an animal, that means it could be sheep, it could anything you want, sheep, but not chicken, obviously. Because kafarat are either camel, goat, or camel, cow, or goat. So when it says them, most probably it indicates the slaughtering of the sheep. And finally, ruling number 357, it is not obligatory to perform tawaf al-nisa in Umrat al-Tamattu'. We said because it's there in end of Manat, because remember the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said دخلت الحج دخلت العمرة في الحج هكذا, and he mixed his fingers together. That means Umrat al-Tamattu', Hajj al-Tamattu' is part and parcel of one, the whole Hajj al-Tamattu'. So they have delayed it, Tawaf and Nisa. However, you can have your spousal entertainments immediately after the TAQSEER. So it's not obligatory to perform Tawaf al-Nisa and Umrat al-Tamattu'. However, there is no harm if someone wants to perform it with the intention of raja and hope of its requirement. So these are the these this is the section of taqseer, and now we have a few minutes left, so we are going to take a few questions from the appendix related to taqseer. So let's see. Okay, so we have tawaf, sa'i, and let's see if the rulings of taqseer are here. And after the Q&A session, there are rituals of recommendations of every act, recommendations of ihram, recommendations of tawaf. He has kept also not to mix obligations with recommendations. Okay, let me see. Let me go back. So Q&A for taqseer. And there you go. So after the wajibat, there's a recommendation, and after that, there's a section of taqseer of manasik al-hajj of Sayyidi Sistani Damullah. So let's see. Yeah, there are 23 questions. So let's see how many. But mainly the theme of taqseer is no. So, but these are like exceptional cases. So question number 1. So we are in the end, like section of question and answers. Al-aslah. the bald guy who has limited amount of hair, would it be sufficient for him to do taqseer from it? Obviously, we're not talking about shaving off the head. So the guy is bald and he has limited number of hair, like a patch here or a patch here, like behind normally. Or some of them, they have a small patch here in the front as well. So he has some patches of hair. The guy is bald. هل يكفي التقصير from him? Would it be sufficient to perform taqseer? Obviously, yes. He says it is sufficient to clip off some of the hair. Because taqseer is not, you just clip one or two strands of hair, also it will be sufficient. So anyhow, a bunch of hair will be nice. You feel that you have done taqseer. Question number 2. You said in your manasik al-Hajj that one should not suffice, okay, in taqseer other than the hair of بتقصير الشعر. One should not suffice in taqseer with the hair other than the hair of the head, beard, and mustache. Is it a fatwa? He says no. Rather, it's obligatory precaution. So what happens? Let's say the guy doesn't have beard, doesn't have mustache, doesn't have it, but he have the hair in the armpit, okay? So, or he has hair in the mustache, but he wants to clip off his armpit hair, has grown like hairy berry, something like that. He said, let me get off here because my beard is a little bit less hairy, less hair. Let me get rid of that. So I am performing the taqseer, exiting the state of Ihram for click. He says, no, head, mustache, beard, like the part of this area, the head itself. So, but that is obligatory precaution. That means if you want to clip off your armpit or some other place, okay, you have hair on the hand, you want to clip this hair. So you have to refer to some other marja. And I think this is hypothetical. If you have beard and mustache, why would you go to the armpit or your hand or your foot or wherever you have hair? So just clip your hair, clip your hair of the little bit of the hair here, little bit of the mustache or something like that, or hair. But Sayyidi Sistani, no, nail is not sufficient in the case of Sayyidi Sistani. What about the female? Question number 3. So question number 2 was obligatory precaution not to limit your taqseer in the hair of head, mustache, beard, not any other place. So what about women? Sometimes women, they grow hair on the beard or mustache. So can she do the taqseer from the beard and mustache? Because she wants to get rid of it, the hair in the beard and mustache. He said no. For women, it's just head. These are odd scenarios. It is not natural for women to grow hair on the beard or mustache. Now someone, he's now in Marwa, okay? And he wants to do taqseer. And he saws there's a scissor in someone's pocket. He goes like Pink Panther and pickpockets the scissor of that guy without his permission. So what is the ruling of performing taqseer with scissors which are stolen, usurped scissors? Or he took away from his hand. He said, no, I can't give you for the hygiene purpose and this and that. It's my scissor. I use it every year in the Umrah. So he said, oh, look at the birdie. He snatched the scissors. Give me my scissor. Give me my scissor. So he did not give him permission. Says, okay, أقصرك. Take your scissors. So will that be sufficient? Taking someone else's scissor without his permission and consensus and just clip and give it back to him? He says the clipping of the hair is sufficient. However, the person who performed the taqseer, the usurper, would be sinful person if he knew that it was usurped. That means in the case if you usurped it, that obviously you know, so you are a sinful person. However, if your friend or brother or somebody, he usurped it and he clipped his hair and the guy said, give me my scissor. Said, um, take this scissor and clip off your hair. Okay. So now he knows that this scissor is usurped. So, but his clipping of the hair will be correct. Now, let's say the guy stole the scissor, but his friend doesn't know that it's usurped. So he will not be sinner, the other guy. Anyhow, the bottom line is the taqseer would be sufficient. The usurper, if he knew that this scissor is usurped, then he would be considered a sinner. Question number 5. Remember the lovebird scenario? I do taqseer for you, you do taqseer for me. Or they're bromance people, guys. Oh, no, bro, let's do the taqseer together, me and you, or something like that. You know, we do everything together, except for a few things they can't do together. So, um, so therefore, like going to the bathroom, they cannot go to the bathroom together or something like that. So they're like so much attached with each other. So these two brothers or husband and wife, and they just want to express their love in that spirituality, in spiritual state and hyperbolic irfan, and they want to cement their love with doing these things together. So, what is the ruling of performing the taqseer to someone else before he does his own taqseer, okay, out of unawareness or out of heedlessness? The love, you said the love blinds someone, blinds the people. And this poor guy got blinded. They both got blinded, lovebirds, the husband and wife, or the brothers and brothers, the friends together. Since childhood, they were friends and brothers. So anyhow, if it was out of unawareness, he says, there is no problem. They will not be sinners. There will be no penalty. However, they are still in the state of ihram. Okay? So, because that taqseer was not sufficient, he was in the state of ihram, you are in the state of ihram, you both did taqseer to each other in the state of ihram, so you are still in the state of ihram because that taqseer was invalid or not sufficient. But there'll be no sin upon both of them, or nothing upon them, because it was done out of ignorance or out of heedlessness, like that intoxication of the love. Question number 6. So what if someone does taqseer to his friend? Again, so here one was aware, one was unaware. Okay, one was aware and one was unaware. In both cases, they realized after entering the state of ihram of Hajj al-Tamattu. So if someone in the Umrah al-Tamattu, question number 6, if a person in the state of ihram of Umrah al-Tamattu performed the taqseer, okay, for his friend before his own taqseer. before he clips off his own hair and exits his ihram, he did the taqseer for his brother or his friend or his wife or her husband. So, so one of the mu'tamirin performed the taqseer to his friend before he did his taqseer to himself. ثم قصر الثاني جهلا منهما بالحكم. And then after that, so he did first the taqseer of this guy, then the guy did taqseer to this person. So one of them taqseer is correct. So this guy did taqseer to that person. You are still in the state of ihram. So that person whose taqseer was done by this person, let's take A and B. A in the state of ihram, B in the state of ihram. So A did taqseer to B, and then B did taqseer to A. So both of them, they were unaware of the ruling. They were unaware of the ruling. And we said unaware, there's no problem. However, they are still in the state of ihram. So the story does not end here. It gets worse. So they're in the state of ihram and they think that they exited the state of ihram because they have to redo the taqseer by themselves properly, as we mentioned in the previous ruling. So they're still in the state of ihram. The taqseer they did is not sufficient and they're unaware. So what's the worst? They entered the state of ihram of HAJJ tamattu, which they are not supposed to. But they're unaware. So what is the ruling? Remember in the context of the manasik, we said that if somebody did not do the taqseer after the sa'i and enter the ihram of hajj, then his ihram of umrah will be converted to ihram of hajj al-ifrad. So here, this says yanqalib hajjuhuma. Their hajj, both of them did not exit the ihram. Okay, both of them. So both of them they were unaware about the ruling. So both of them, and they didn't. It's not a sin because they were unaware. So out of ignorance they did this. So, but the effect is there. You did not exit the state of ihram. That means you're still in the state of ihram. So your ihram is converted into hajjil ihram of hajjil ifrad. Therefore, after you perform the hajj, you perform the umrah mufrada if the hajj was obligatory, first timer. Again, because this happens a lot, lovebird scenario, bromance scenario, you see, this happens a lot in Umrah and Hajj, and no, I will do. Let me be the owner because you know I've been your friend since childhood. Don't let me be deprived from this. Sometimes these kind of bromance things are not cases. Okay, so obsession and anyhow. Let's say I mean, there are people crazy. So what can you do? I mean, you have to tell them what is their ruling. So here, question number 7. Both lovebirds, okay, husband and wife, or friend and friend, they did taqseer to each other. The bros. So they did taqseer to each other. Thinking, okay, thinking that it is permissible for them to do. So what is the ruling of that? Again, this is also repeated in a different way. So they thought, they believed that this is what they have to do. Nope, daisy. He says the ruling of someone who did not perform taqseer, okay, out of unawareness will be applied. They did taqseer to each other. So, but out of unawareness. So the same thing that as they did not do the taqseer. So what will happen? Um, the rules of someone who have not performed the taqseer out of unawareness will be applied. So what should they do? On the basis of obligatory precaution, they need to redo the tawaf, okay, tawaf of Nisa and salat of tawaf of Nisa after the taqseer. So they have done tawaf in Nisa, okay. So they did the taqseer for each other. So the question has this segment of tawaf in Nisa missing. So the question was supposed to be like that. These two lovebirds, they did the taqseer for each other, okay, thinking that it is permissible. When? Before tawaf in Nisa. So after that, they did tawaf in Nisa. So the addition of tawaf in Nisa is necessary in this question because the answer talks about tawaf in Nisa. So it says the rule of someone who have abandoned the taqseer will be applied, the abandoned taqseer out of unawareness will be applied here. Therefore, on the basis of obligatory precaution, one must redo the tawaf in Nisa and salat of tawaf in Nisa after the taqseer. So they need to redo the taqseer, and then after that, they need to redo the tawaf in Nisa and no, salat tawaf in Nisa. Repeated question. Number 8. Is it sufficient in taqseer or shaving of the head that a person who's in the state of ihram does for someone else? Obviously not. It is not permissible. Not just that, it is not sufficient. That means you are in the state of ihram. You did not exit the state of ihram. Question number 9. Again, that whoopsie daisy. And we said that the camel, remember, stay away from the camels. So it has been mentioned in the manasik that whoever performs the private relation, the intercourse after the sa'i, before the taqseer. So if he had done knowingly, deliberately, then there is a penalty of camel. We said stay away from the camel. So this said, Sayyidina, you said this in the manasik al-hajj. However, you did not point out what if the guy did not know? You see, he went to the hotel, okay, after Sa'i, and remember they forgot, and this was also pointed out there. So they forgot about taqseer, and whoopsie daisy happened. So he says, what about if someone was unaware? You also said that there is no problem in it. So someone who, because remember the category of this ahkam, there are 3 levels: knowingly, unknowingly, out of forgetfulness. So knowingly is like knowingly, deliberately. And then unknowingly, that means unintentionally, unknowingly, okay, doing it. But then there is the third category. He knows, but he forgot. So there is knowledge and forgetfulness. So does this guy, so we have, let me put this flow chart. Here, knowingly. Here, unknowingly. So what about somebody who forgot? His one foot is here, he knows. Another foot is there, but he forgot. So there's no deliberate case of deliberate, intentional case because he forgot. But knowledge he has. So he says, no, he will be taken as someone who there's nothing upon him because he forgot. And as we saw in many of the rulings, like the cases of forgetfulness are a bit flexible than unknowingly. When unknowingly, was he unintentional ignorant or intentional ignorant? Unknowing, unaware, intentionally so their category is coming. But forgot, khalas, forgot. I mean, what can I do? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that The responsibility is removed from someone who forgot, okay, until he remembers. So forgetting is not in your hand. Yes, learning and choosing to remain unaware or ignorance is in your hand, but forgetfulness, no. So he says, in the case of forgetfulness, is like someone who was unaware. So in this, so he says there's nothing upon him. What about question number 10? Okay. If a person in the state of Ihram, of Umrah, okay, إذا قصر المعتمر قبل أن يسعى عالما عامدا أو عن جهل أو عن نسيان. Okay, this question, the three categories are there: knowingly, unknowingly, out of forgetfulness. So what? Somebody, if someone performed, if someone in the state of Ihram of Umrah, okay, performed the taqseer before doing the sa'i. We said the sequence is after the sa'i. So he did he did it before the sa'i. So what if a person in the state of Ihram performs the taqseer before the sa'i between Safa and Marwa, knowingly, like, and deliberately, number one, or out of unawareness, or out of forgetfulness. So what is the ruling? That means the question is asking the ruling about three cases. So let's see, number one, deliberately, knowingly. He says, if someone performed the taqseer, because you're clipping off hair and you are in the state of Ihram and you are in the station, you are still not allowed to clip off your hair. So if a person does that knowingly, deliberately, then he should he should pay the kafara, the penalty of clipping of the nail. If his taqseer was based on sufficiency, it is sufficient to do taqseer. Okay. So what is the penalty of someone who performs the taqseer knowingly, deliberately? That is the penalty of clipping of the nail. If his taqseer was that if I clip off my nails, I'll exit the state of Ihram. But say this SISTANI says obligatory precaution, that is not sufficient. Clipping of the nail is not sufficient. It needs to be the clipping of the hair of the beard or head or mustache. So if that person performs taqseer knowingly, deliberately, then he should pay the kafara of clipping of the nails. If he was thinking that it is sufficient to clip off the nails, clip of the nails to exit the state of Ihram. That, as we said, say this is that's obligatory precaution. No. However, so that is about the clipping of the nail. Second, same deliberately, intentionally. وأما إن كان تقصيره بقص شيء من شعره فالأظهر عدم ثبوت الكفارة عليه إن كان آثما. So we have clipping of the nail. The kafara will be the clipping of the nail. If he was considering clipping of the nail is sufficient to exit the state of Ihram, which say the SISTANI is obligatory precaution. No. However, if, so the penalty is clipping of the nail, we can go to the chart of the penalties. However, if his taqseer was by clipping of the hair, so we said most apparently there is no kafara. However, this person will be a sinner. وَمَا إِنْ كَانَ تَقْصِيرُ بِقَصِّ شَيْءٍ مِّنْ شَعْرِهِ, by clippings of some of his hair, then most apparently there is no penalty upon him, though he is sinful. Even though he will be sinful, he will be a sinner. Okay, this was section number 1, knowingly, deliberately. Let's take the section number 2 and 3. In this case, we said that Sayyid Sistani considers a person who forgot as a person who's unaware. So 2 in 1. So it says, as for unaware person and who has forgotten the ruling, then there is nothing upon them. Okay, Sayyidina, but when you say nothing upon them, that means did they exit the state of Ihram? No, 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 no. I'm saying there's no sin, there's no penalty, because they were unaware. But did they exit? No, they did not exit the state of Ihram. In both cases, he says that one should do the sa'i and taqseer. Okay, so the question was that before the sa'i he did taqseer. So do the taqseer, do the sa'i between Safa and Marwa, and then repeat your taqseer, because that taqseer was not sufficient, even though you were unaware, but you are still in the state of Ihram. So it's very crucial to exit the state of Ihram with taqseer. So Sayyidina, we have Umrah al-Tamattu and Umrah Mufrada. So is there any difference between the Umrah al-Tamattu and Umrah Mufrada? He says yes. The ruling mentioned here is for Umrah Mufrada. What is the ruling? The ruling is if somebody clips the nails thinking that the clipping of the nail is sufficient for him to exit the Ihram, then there is nothing upon him. He was deliberate, then he should pay the kafara, the penalty of performing the taqseer. Okay? Performing the taqseer of the nails. And obviously do the sa'i and repeat the taqseer properly. Second scenario was clipping of the hair. So he said there's no kafara most apparently, even though it was intentional. So that's why he will be considered a sinner. And as for the jahil, the unaware, or the a person who forgot, there's nothing upon them. In all these cases, that person must perform the sa'i and then redo the taqseer. Okay, this was Umrah al-Mufrada. So Sayyidina, what about Umrah al-Tamattu in these 3 cases? Amma fi Umrah al-Tamattu, the ruling is similar. There is nothing upon them except to repeat the sa'i, do the sa'i and repeat the taqseer, because he did not exit the state of Ihram. You need to do taqseer. That taqseer was not in its place. After the sa'i, you have to do. So that taqseer is cancelled. There's no effect of it. So after you do the sa'i, that will be the genuine taqseer. So he says for Umrah al-Tamattu, the one which is for the Hajj, the ruling is similar. For who? For someone who was deliberate. For someone who was unaware, the same ruling will apply. Okay? That means if nails, that person needs to give penalty of nails if he thought that the nail would make him let get him out of ihram. Or uh, if it was hair, clipping of the hair in the Umrah al-Tamattu, then most apparently there's no penalty, even though he will be sinner because he did it intentionally. And as for a person who is unaware, then there's nothing upon that person, and but he needs to do the taqseer after the sa'i to exit the state of ihram. If he has not done that, then he needs to do that. So, however, the rule of a person who forgot is different here. How? So he says that, so he said the ruling is similar, which we mentioned for sorry. The ruling is similar for Umrah al-Tamattu. The case of intentional and the case of unawareness. However, the case of forgetfulness, if someone forgot to perform the sa'i and then he exited the state of ihram, or he tried to exit the state of ihram by performing taqseer to exit the state of ihram of Umrah al-Tamattu, then that person should pay the penalty of a cow on the basis of obligatory precaution. But saying the intentional person, you said he's sinner. Okay? The intentional person is sinner. And the unaware person is not a sinner, but they both have to redo. But saying here a person forgot, he has to give a cow. Oh my goodness. So, وَأَمَّا فِي عُمْرَةِ التَّمَتُّعِ, and as for the Umrah of Tamattu', فَالْحُكْمُ كَذَلِكَ, the ruling is similar. Like we have three cases: deliberate, unaware, forgetfulness. So deliberate and unaware, same like we mentioned in Umrah al-Mufrada. However, a person who forgot and he exited the state and he did the taqseer to exit the state of ihram, then he must pay. Okay. So after the adhan, I have 10 minutes, then we pray 10 to 15 minutes as a precautionary measure. So, so therefore, let's see if we can complete a few rulings, because as you see, the pattern is repeating. A lot of everything repeats except for a little bit portion is added on in the questions. So, so except for which case? The case of forgetfulness. So he does the taqseer to exit the state of ihram of Umrah at-Tamattu'. But he does not, because he has not done the sa'i. He forgot the sa'i. So he forgot the sa'i and he did the taqseer, but this taqseer is not valid. So what is the difference here? One should, on the basis of obligatory precaution, pay a penalty of cow. And then after doing the sa'i, he needs to repeat the taqseer on the basis of obligatory precaution. Question number 11. What if somebody does taqseer twice? If a person performs the taqseer twice out of unawareness or out of forgetfulness after Salat al-Tawaf. So once after Salat al-Tawaf and other after the Sa'i. So what will be his ruling? That means one of the taqseer is invalid because he did it before the Sa'i. One of them is correct. He did it after the Sa'i. So what will be his ruling? He says, if it was in Umrat al-Tamattu', if this happened in Umrat al-Tamattu' and he had performed the taqseer after Salat al-Tawaf due to the forgetfulness of performing the sa'i between Safa and Marwa, then he should pay a penalty of cow on the basis of obligatory precaution. So he forgot. And other than this case of forgetfulness, there is nothing upon him. And it seems that there's a narration of this case of forgetfulness. However, it's a weak narration. Because why, if somebody has done intentionally, deliberately, there's no cow? And why this guy who forgot, there's a cow? So it seems that there's a specific rule from a narration. However, the narration is not strong, so that's why there is this obligatory precaution. So again, if in Umrat al-Tamattu, a person did 2 taqseers, okay, out of unawareness or out of forgetfulness. So he says that if it was out of forgetfulness, cow will be the penalty on the basis of obligatory precaution. Other than that, that means the case of unawareness or deliberate, he will be sinner, but unawareness due to the forgetfulness, he needs to give a cow. Forgetfulness, but unawareness, nothing. Let's take question number 12. Is it permissible to perform the taqseer of Umrah out of Makkah al-Mukarramah, like they left to Medina al-Munawwara, in the street while in the way? Oh, I did not do taqseer. Or a guy, crazy guy, sometimes people they have weird thoughts. I can't say crazy, but I can say weird. He said, see, I did the Hajj here or the Umrah here. Okay. Now, while in the haram of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I will do taqseer and exit the state of Ihram. So all this time I'll be in the Ihram, I'll enter Medina, and there are crazy ideas. Sometimes people, they have these weird ideas. Okay. Maybe hyperbolic irfani state or something like that. No, I'll not exit now. I'll keep my Ihram and I'll go to Medina in the shrine. So can somebody do the Ihram, exit the state of Ihram by performing taqseer out of Mecca? He says there's no problem in that, even though it's a recommended precaution to observe the precautionary measures. That means do it in Mecca. Question number 13. Question number 13. Is it permissible for a person performing the taqseer to perform it outside of Mecca? Oh, we mentioned this, or it's repeated. Yeah, it's repeated. It is permissible to perform the taqseer outside of Mecca, even though observing precautionary measures is recommended precaution. Question number 14. What is the ruling of someone who forgot the taqseer in Umrah Mufrada? And he did not remember except after leaving Makkah. He says, no problem. Perform the taqseer wherever. He says he can perform the taqseer wherever he wants. Question number 15. What is the ruling of someone who abandoned the taqseer in Umrat al-Tamattu'? Now, Umrat al-Tamattu' is dangerous. Why? Because there's Hajj al-Tamattu' and Ihram Hajj al-Tamattu'. So the complications are there. So what is the ruling of someone who did not perform the taqseer in the Umrat al-Tamattu', Umrah of Hajj, out of unawareness or out of intentionally or deliberately or out of unawareness until he stood on the Arafat. That means 9th Dhul Hajj is in Arafat. Okay, and he's doing the intention. I'm staying in the lands of Arafat from noon till sunset. Oh, I forgot to do taqseer. He says the same ruling of Ihram converting to Hajj al-Ifrad. Because you did not exit your Ihram and you entered another Ihram. So you still are in the first Ihram. So convert that first Ihram into Ihram of Hajj al-Ifrad. He says his Hajj al-Tamattu' will be converted to Hajj al-Ifrad. That means Umrah al-Mufrada after. This is Umrah Mufrada before. However, if it was his first Hajj, Hajjat al-Islam, that means he has never ever done Hajj before, then it is necessary upon him to perform Umrah Mufrada after the Hajj. After he's done with his Hajj, he needs to perform the Umrah Mufrada. And we said previously also, it's recommended precaution to redo the Hajj in the next year. Question number 16. Remember the plucking? He plucked his hair of the beard or the mustache, thinking that it is sufficient to pluck the hair in taqseer. So, and after that, he entered the state of ihram of Hajj al-Tamattu'. So this is Umrah al-Tamattu', plucking of the hair, entering the ihram of Hajj al-Tamattu'. That means, and it's not sufficient, but he thought it was sufficient. Again, its Hajj, its Umrah al-Mufrada, Ihram will be converted to Ihram of Hajj al-Ifrad. Therefore, he must perform Umrah Mufrada after the Hajj A'mal if he was able to do that. And it's recommended precaution to repeat the Hajj in the upcoming year or any other year. في سنة أخرى. Yeah. And it's recommended precaution to redo the Hajj in another year. Question number 17. If a person in the state of Ihram does not perform taqseer out of forgetfulness or out of unawareness about the ruling, until, so it's repeated but added on an example of he's still, he thinks that he is out of Ihram. So what state of Ihram. So what he did, he wore his normal clothing. So is it necessary for him to remove his normal clothing and get into the dress of ihram, and then after that performs the taqseer, or it is sufficient for him to perform the taqseer and while he is in his normal clothing? So he says it is sufficient for him to do taqseer even if he had prohibited dress on him. That means the stitched or the similar to stitched. So it is sufficient. His taqseer will be sufficient, even if he had prohibited dress. Because it is not necessary that the taqseer happens in the dress of ihram. So you don't need to wear the dress of ihram to perform the taqseer. So that means I can stay in that. No, 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 no. Remember, you have to become Muslim Dalai Lama. That means wearing white clothes and going to your work or going to the school or going to the university with that. And people might think that you are weird, but it's something you have to do or taken off or find someone. So, or if it was in Mecca. So the question is that would it be sufficient for him to do the taqseer in his dress? Okay, or he needs to take his dress off and enter in the dress, wear the dress two dresses of ihram, which are obligatory for men. So here he says it is sufficient for him. His taqsir would be sufficient, even if it was in the prohibited dress, and because it is not necessary to perform the taqsir in the dresses of ihram. However, it is necessary or compulsory upon him the moment he realizes, okay, he needs to he needs to get into the dress of ihram. So take off your normal clothing, okay, and avoid whatever is prohibited on a person who's in the state of ihram before performing the taqsir. So the dress doesn't have anything to do with taqsir, but if you're in the state of ihram, you need to avoid whatever is haram. That means get back into the dress of ihram, then perform the taqsir. So again, um, taqsir does not require you to be in the state of ihram. What does that mean? That means, let's say you were in the bathroom and you did not have any clothing and you are just sitting on the toilet seat, for example, or taking a shower, and you don't have any clothes on you, you can do taqsir. So it doesn't have to be in the it can be in the prohibited dress, even if you were so he says that taqsir would be sufficient even if he had done it in prohibited dress. It is not necessary that taqsir should be performed in the two cloths of ihram. However, it is compulsory upon him to remove the normal clothing instantly, immediately, and wear the dresses of ihram and avoid all the prohibitions of ihram before performing the taqsir. If he does not do that, then a penalty of sheep will be obligated upon. So, وَلَوْ لَمْ يُبَادِرْ إِلَى نَزْعِ الثِّيَابِ الْمَمْنُوعَةِ, if you do not take off your clothes which are prohibited in the state of ihram immediately, then you will have to pay the penalty of a sheep as a penalty. Question number 18. If a person in Umrah al-Tamattu, Umrah of Hajj, uh, yeah, so he was in the ihram of Umrah al-Tamattu and he shaved off his beard after exiting the state of ihram. So if a person was in the state of ihram of Umrah al-Tamattu, exited from his ihram, okay? So a person in the state of ihram of Umrah al-Tamattu exited by performing taqsir. So he's no more muhrim بعد الإحلال من إحرامها. Okay? So he exited the state of ihram. What did he do? He brought his shaver and whoopsie daisy, clean shave. So, and the questioner says that, is there any penalty upon him other than the sin? What greater penalty could be from the sin itself being displeasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if he was not excused in shaving of his beard? Because if somebody is excused from shaving of his beard, then it's okay. There's no sin. Like in somebody working in some professional places, where if you don't shave off your beard, you get fired. They don't leave you working. But in that, those are some of the cases of necessities. But let's say here he will be considered a sinner according to the question, his hypothesis. But the answer is there's nothing upon him because he already have exited the state of haram, except for the haram being sinful by shaving of the beard. Other than that, he would be okay. Again, beard, ruling of a beard. Question 19. If a person in the state of ihram shaves off his beard after exiting the ihram of Umrat al-Tamattu, will there be any penalty? So question 18 and 19 are technically same. So question 18 says if a person exits the state of ihram of Umrat al-Tamattu. The 19 says if a person exits the ihram of Umrat al-Tamattu. So he shaves off his beard after exiting the state of ihram. The question 19 also, he shaves off his beard after exiting the state of ihram. So will there be any penalty? Obviously, there will be no penalty. The same thing, I mean, we said that you should not shave your head, okay? You should not exit the state of ihram of Umrat al-Tamattu by shaving of the head. What if somebody shaves the head after? Says there's no problem in it. And we did this also in the context. So basically, most of these rulings are, there's very few rulings were like this clarification further. So question number 20 is it permissible for someone who had who had exited the ihram of Umrat al-Tamattu and had not yet entered the ihram of Hajj al-Tamattu? Will it be permissible for him to shave off his head? So he says that it is permissible. That means permissible to shave off the head after exiting the ihram of Umrat al-Tamattu and before Hajj al-Tamattu. So he says that it is permissible if it would be permissible to shave off the head, even though it's recommended precaution not to shave it after 30 days of Eid al-Fitr or first day of Shawwal has passed. And it's recommended precaution if he does the shaving of the head, then he need to pay kafara uh, as a recommended precaution we mentioned, a sheep. Question number 21. The question says, it is recommended precaution to avoid shaving of the head after 30 days of the day of Eid al-Fitr. That means like 20 after first Dhul Qa'dah, if the month of Shawwal was 30 days, or on second Dhul Qa'dah, if the month of Shawwal was 29 days. So after 30 days, he says, from Eid al-Fitr. So the recommended precaution to shave off the head for Umrat al-Tamattu, starting from after the 30 days of Eid al-Fitr has been passed, does it include the reduction of the hair? He says, no, you can bring a clipper and clip off all your hair of the head, but the thing is shaving. So he says, no, the ruling is specific to shaving of the head. Last two questions, and we'll be done for of taqsir. Question number 22. In Umrah Mufrada, if somebody performs the taqsir for me, remember that love bird, husband and wife, bromance, kind of spiritual bromance or whatever you call, okay, halal bromance. So he says that in the Umrah Mufrada, someone performed the taqsir for me and he had the dress of Ihram. However, I don't know whether he had done taqsir for himself before he performed the taqsir for me, or before he clipped my hair, or no, it was after it. Because if he had clipped off his hair, then he clips off your hair, it's okay. But he does not clip off your hair, his hair. He cannot clip off someone else's hair. And we said a person would still be in the state of ihram. So he says, someone performed the taqsir for me. However, I do not know that whether he had done taqsir for himself before doing my taqsir, so it will be correct, or after doing my taqsir, so it will not be correct. So what is my obligation now after I came back to my hometown? He says, your doubts, because you're doubting. Did he do the taqsir for himself before he did mine or not? So there's a doubt. So he says, if the doubt was after he did your taqsir, remember the doubt after the completion of the act, here comes the doubt after completion of the act. إذا كان الشك بعد قيامه بالتقصير فلا تعتني به. If the doubt was after performing the taqsir, okay? So he clipped your hair, or not necessary bromance or lovebird or whatever. There are some people, they have a scissor in their hand and they're doing their own taqsir. And you request him, please do the taqsir for me. And you don't know that he has done his own taqsir or not. So that's also a case of doubt. So he says, if that doubt encountered, if the doubt encountered after that person completed his taqsir, then ignore the doubt. Qa'idatul faragh. Okay? That you have completed an act, now you are doubting in that act, it is correct or not. Rule of thumb, if you finish an act and after that you doubt in its validity, then ignore it. Ignore the doubt. That means it's okay, you are okay. Then you should not pay heed to that doubt. However, if the doubt encountered while the process of taqsir was happening, then it was necessary for that person to find out whether he has exited the state of ihram or not. Okay, so this was the responsibility. Did you exit your ihram and did taqsir to me? If he says yes, yes, no, okay, it's understood. So if he says yes, I did, your taqsir is okay. If he said no, I did not, that means his taqsir is not okay. So he's there, the guy is there, and he's performing the taqsir for you. He's like in a slow motion, and oh, wait, stop. Did you do your own taqsir? Yeah. Bismillah, continue. He said, no, stop. Then let me do my own taqseer. However, if the doubt encountered during the process of taqseer, then it was necessary upon him to find out that whether that person has exited from his ihram or not. If you did not confirm and find out, then the taqseer will not be sufficient and you need to redo the taqseer. And on the basis of obligatory precaution, redo the tawaf al-nisa and salat of tawaf al-nisa. Finally, last question. A woman, she's bald. Now, don't think that that's strange. I know there are some skin disease or cancer or whatever, God forbid, and may Allah protect all our beloved ones around the world. So she has complete baldness and she doesn't have nails. Okay. What should she do in taqseer? Because her case is all taqseer. Umrah al-mufrada, Umrah al-tamattu, Hajj al-tamattu. All these three things, she's going to do taqseer. There's no shaving of the head on her. Like initially, women, they have only one obligation to get out of the ihram. That is to perform taqseer. Other than taqseer, they don't get out. So what should she do? She doesn't have any hair. And sometimes it's a heredity problem. So it says on the basis of obligatory precaution to use the scissor in a way that as you are clipping your hair. Okay? To use the scissor similar to someone who has hair. Yeah. So on the basis of obligatory precaution, she can use the scissor uh, in resembling someone resembling a woman who has hair, and if she is cutting off or clipping off her hair to exit the state of ihram. In that case, if she runs just the scissor in like a real woman or like a woman normally who has hair, how does she clip her hair? If she does like that, runs the scissor over her head in a way that she's clipping off her hair, then she can exit the state of ihram. So finally, we are done with the manasikil umrah after about more than 1 year. Finally, we got to exit the state of ihram, and now we are staying in Makkah until 8th Dhul-Hajj or 9th Dhul-Hajj, because 9th Dhul-Hajj can become very tight. So 8th Dhul-Hajj, we have to leave for we have to enter the state of ihram in Makkah. We have to leave to Arafat, then Muzdalifah, then Mina, and then do the tawaf of manasik al-Hajj, and then go back to Mina, pelt the shaitan, 7 stones, 11th and 12th eve, and then after that, you are done with your Hajj. So we will stop here, and inshallah, when we meet next time, it will be staying in the day of Arafat. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله